It's Tuesday, January 14th, and this is now on HNN.
So it's really a test of resilience.
Still developing right now, a volcano has blanketed parts of the Philippines in a thick layer of toxic ash.
The alert level remains at a 4 out of 5.
Authorities are anticipating a major eruption in the near future.
The health and well-being of not only the players, the fans, our staff is of utmost importance.
Smoke from wildfires is wreaking havoc on the Australian Open, with some players struggling to breathe.
Reports say the school is finalizing a contract with Rolo worth an average of $3 million per season.
Plus, UH's head football coach Nick Rolovich has accepted an offer to leave the program. These stories plus new details on that restaurant shakeup at Ala Moana Center, coming up on This Is Now. Hey everyone, thanks for watching This Is Now. I'm Jonathan, your director-producer, alongside Ashley here. We have so much news to get to today, but with so much interest in what's going on in the Philippines, let's get to the very latest developments there.
Right, so officials are warning of an imminent hazardous eruption in the Philippines as the tall volcano blankets its surroundings in a thick layer of gray ash. Now this report comes to us from Blake Essig.
It could be hours, days, weeks, or months. That's a message from scientists trying to predict when tall will blow again. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, the alert level remains at a 4 out of 5. That means another hazardous eruption is imminent. In the meantime, Philippine government officials have ordered a total evacuation of everyone living within a 17-kilometer radius of the volcano. That's nearly 1 million people. While the government is asking people to leave, President Duterte is scheduled to visit the area impacted on Tuesday. Officials say the situation on the ground is dire. They say everything is covered in ash, there's no water, and in some places, the electricity has been turned off to prevent fires. As for the impact to the economy, a Philippine lawmaker told CNN that impact to agriculture and tourism industry in the city of Tagaytay alone has been devastating. A challenging time for a country often hit with the most destructive of natural disasters.
We will be asking the help of the other adjoining local government units, the private sector. They've been doing their share. The national government, they're on top of the situation. So it's really a test of resilience insofar as the people living in these areas are concerned.
In addition to the uncertainty surrounding the mystery of when the next major eruption of Taal will occur, since it all started on Sunday, residents in the area surrounding the volcano have been living on unstable ground, experiencing more than 300 reported earthquakes. Blake Essig, CNN.
All right, we're going to stay with this story for just a moment. Yesterday, a lot of you were asking about tsunamis and if there's any risk here to the island chain. And I got off the phone with the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, and they actually said no. If there was any sort of tsunami generated, it would be really localized to the Philippines, and in that area, it would be a localized tsunami. So no need to worry about it here. But they said something that experts are watching is that ash plume. We saw that video just moments ago of people covered in ash, a thick, muddy mess over all those cars and roadways there. That's because of this. We're looking at a satellite image right now coming from the tall volcano. You can just see the plume of smoke rising to the air that's visible by satellite. Now they're going to keep a very close eye on that, experts are, because that ash cloud has the potential to cause a lot of problems. The experts I talked to pointed to the Iceland's volcano that happened in 2010, which just decimated air travel all over Europe. Not saying anything like that is even on the horizon here. It's just something they're keeping a close eye on. All right, moving on to other news from around America.
Yeah, let's take you live to Washington, D.C., where the House is expected to vote Wednesday to send the articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump to the Senate. Now, Speaker Nancy Pelosi met privately today at the Capitol with her Democratic caucus to discuss the timetable. Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is meeting with Republican senators on terms of the trial. And the final Democratic presidential debate before the Iowa caucuses is happening today. It starts at 4 p.m. and you can watch it on CNN and the Des Moines Register's website. Only 6 of the 12 remaining candidates have qualified. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is not one of them. Meantime, she's weighing in on the feud between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Last night, Warren said that Sanders told her in a private meeting in 2018 that he did not think a woman could win the presidency. Sanders has denied saying that. On Twitter, Gabbard came to his defense, saying, quote, "I also met with Bernie Sanders before announcing my candidacy. We had a nice one-on-one conversation, and I informed him that I would be running for president. In that meeting, he showed me the greatest respect and encouragement, just as he always has."
I can't wait to see how this debate unfolds this evening. Of course, we'll have a wrap-up for you coming up on our evening newscast. All right, moving on to news from here at home.
Yep, back here at home, residents are divided over what is said to be a compromise between the community and the city on the controversial Waimanalo Park project. Mileka Lincoln has the latest.
One thing that is certain is the original intention for this 4-acre parcel within Waimanalo Bay Beach Park to be converted into a multi-purpose athletic field, keiki playground, and 11-stall parking lot is not moving forward as initially believed would take place under phase 1 of the master plan. That said, according to city officials, they still need to return to this area with construction equipment at the very least to level it, bring back in some soil, establish irrigation, and then plant some grass. And they say that's due to soil erosion laws that prevent them from leaving the area as it is. But what will eventually become of the grass field they intend to create here is ultimately going to come down to the community of Waimanalo making a decision on exactly how they'd like to see that used, whether or not it will become a historical or cultural park, or whether they will allow for the area to be utilized as an athletic field. Take a listen to what City Managing Director Roy Amamia had to say about that at last night's Waimanalo Neighborhood Board meeting.
There's still some issue as to whether sports will be able to be played on this field. And from the get-go, our ask of the Waimanalo community is to sit down and try to come up with a decision that everybody can live with as to the best use of that field. And again, we're committed to improve other fields in the area.
Now, Save Our Sherwoods, the Waimanalo-based organization that really helped to lead the opposition of this master plan, saying that it would have desecrated an area where iwi kupuna, or human remains, have been discovered in the past, believes that the compromise they have reached with the city is a victory. But there are still those, of course, who would like to see an athletic field in the area. Whether or not that will happen still here is, again, up for discussion. None of those next step plans are concrete. But for now, back to you guys.
Thank you, Mileka. All right, let's take a live look outside downtown. We're looking down King Street. Usually we can see all the way down King Street from our vantage point here in the digital center as we look at this live video feed. It's a little cloudy, a little hazy. Can't make it all the way down. It's going to be like this for a while, guys. Still, I'm getting used to it. Our new Seattle weather. Expect those clouds to stay around, but you know who really knows most? Guy Hoggy. Let's check in with him.
How's it on this Tuesday? I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. The juicy disturbance responsible for all the rain over the weekend slowly pulling away. However, a blanket of high clouds trailing behind will be pulled over the state probably for the rest of today with cloudy skies and a few light showers. We're not expecting a whole lot of rain, but we do have a surplus of trade winds today. They'll be blowing in the double digits near advisory levels. So that means it's going to be choppy on the windward side. That's where we find the biggest surf. High surf advisory continues for all east shores, and actually there's a little bit of a wind swell rolling into some south shore spots. So we've got the fair weather. Even though we're not going to see a whole lot of sunshine, we won't see a whole lot of rain today, and we'll see maybe a few wind and Mauka showers through Wednesday, and then another disturbance moves in late Thursday through Friday and Saturday with increasing clouds, showers, and brisk and breezy winds. Much drier conditions due the first part of next week. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
All right, big news from last night. Everyone's still talking about it right now. Rolo is out.
That's right. Rolo is accepted an offer to become the head coach at Washington State. Kainoa Carlson has the details.
College football reporter Bruce Feldman broke the news on Twitter. The job opened up last week when former coach Mike Leach left the program to accept a job at Mississippi State. Reports say the school is finalizing a contract with Rolo worth an average of $3 million per season. It's more than 7 times what he's making here at UH. Athletics Director David Matlin issued this statement. It says, quote, Nick called me tonight to inform me that he accepted the Washington State job. Our football program is in a better place today because of Nick, and we wish him all the best. Rolo has been at the helm of Hawaii's football team since late 2015 and is credited with stabilizing the program after the Norm Chow era. He compiled a 28-27 record in 4 years with the Bows while leading Hawaii to a division title in 2019 along with its first ever Mountain West Conference championship. Now the search for his replacement begins now. Kainoa Carlson, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Kainoa. This is just show you how out Rolo is. He's already changed his profile picture on Twitter.
That hurts.
Check that out. Guys, look at that profile picture. You know, he's changed it to reflect his new job, of course. He's posted this picture of a cougar grasping at a tree. A very ominous, very mean-looking cougar, that's for sure.
Too soon, Rolo.
I know. We'll miss you, though. You did great stuff for us, right?
Yes, and Coach Rolo has definitely made an impact during his time here in Hawaii. Steve Uehara takes a look back.
Here's Steve.
We don't know what's happening next for the University of Hawaii, but we want to take a look back at how much success he has brought to this program. So let's do a little bit of backtracking here. 2010 to 2011 with Coach McMacken. We had a great success here, 10 wins back in 2010. Also got us to a bowl game. The bowl game years are in blue over here. Then we fast forward to 2012 to 2015, and this is where we start to struggle. This is the regime change with Coach Norm Chow. I believe we had just a few wins, 3 wins in his final season, and then right away we go to Coach Rolovich. He's brought in an instant success. 3 wins in 2015, 7 wins in 2016, and then all the way over here it culminates with a Big Ten win season, which we just had in the bowl game win over BYU in the Hawaii Bowl. But let's also go back one more time because we want to put this into context. Okay, 2010 to 2011, Coach McMacken was making about $1 million a year. He had success under Coach June Jones as the defensive coordinator, and that success, Coach June Jones didn't even have that kind of a payday, but it got Coach McMacken paid. When Coach Chow took over, that contract was cut in half. I believe he was making in the $500,000 to $600,000 a year range. And then when Coach Rolovich took over in 2016, that was brought down even further. His initial contract was $400,000. Just this past year, he was making $600,000, so that was an increase, but it is nowhere near the $3 million that he's going to get when he's in Pullman, Washington, taking over for a Pac-12 team. Now, again, we're not trying to say that there's a correlation between how much you get paid and how well you perform, but when you bring in someone like Coach Rolovich, who's going to have success and is, ambitious, and rightfully so, he's going to be lured by other jobs from bigger schools that can give them bigger contracts.
All right, thanks, Steve. And here's another live shot at the Capitol. We're a day away from the official start of the 2020 legislative session. Thousands of bills are introduced every session, but only a fraction of those actually make it to the governor's desk. We are joined now by Daryl Huff. He's Hawaii News Now's managing editor, as well as my fellow in-house political junkie. Right. Daryl, what are the
There's 2 of us here.
Yeah, what are the big issues we expect lawmakers to tackle this session?
Well, one of the things interesting that's happening today, later at 2 o'clock, which we're going to have on our live stream, I'm sure, is a press conference by the House and Senate leaders together with the governor, which is very unusual since they hardly even talk to each other most of the time. And they're going to be announcing some major initiatives where they've already reached agreement a day before the legislature on things that they are advertising as being an economic package. And that's really significant. You could probably predict it's going to be about the minimum wage, and other things to help the poor, the lower income people do better in Hawaii.
And the minimum wage was something they couldn't get to last year.
The very last minute.
They have a terrible time with that issue, and exactly by doing this, they're trying to avoid. It's sort of like the Joseph Leong bypass of Haleiwa. They want to go straight. They want to start fast. They don't want to get caught, at the shave ice place talking about something. They want to really move through this legislation, get it out of the way as quickly as possible so they can do a lot of other stuff. It's very rare for them to come up with an agreement like this, particularly with the governor standing there. So today's press conference will be very significant. Now, we've also heard from people who are a little bit irritated that these guys have come to some sort of backroom deals on legislation, and you'll hear some of those objections. But I think that it will also involve a lot of housing, probably, because I've talked to one developer this morning who told me he's going to be there, and he's an affordable housing developer who's had a lot of influence in the past. Also, we understand that community leaders are going to be there. The Hawaii Community Foundation, for example, will be represented. So I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis on taking care of lower incomes and maybe actually addressing some of the big underlying problems we have in the state of Hawaii.
So the critics of this approach kind of want it to go through the process, right? They kind of wanted the public hearings, public input, and that's their kind of problem with having these deals set ahead of session.
It's mostly symbolic, but they will go through public hearings, and my guess is that one or two of these things are going to go off the rails at some point. But they do seem to be making a real effort to identify where they can agree and start from there instead of coming with two completely different concepts, ending up in conference committee at the last minute and falling apart, which is the usual pattern that we've seen.
Mm-hmm. And what can we expect tomorrow at opening day? The usual speeches from both sides?
Yeah, I haven't really talked to them much about exactly what their protocol is. There have been years when they said, okay, let's go easy on the flowers and the food and inviting people, but it's usually a pretty relaxed day. People are enjoying having their constituents come to their offices. Some have parties, most have parties, some do not. The legislative leaders will have speeches where they will repeat their package. We would expect to hear from the Republican side. They let the minority speak, even though there's only one in the state Senate, and I think it's 5 in the state House now. So it's going to be pretty straightforward tomorrow. I think in the Senate they'll have the usual entertainment.
Got it. And I know on social media we've been seeing that there's probably going to be a big Native Hawaiian presence at the Capitol tomorrow as well.
Yes. In fact, I talked to one of my favorite Hawaiian activists, Daniel Anthony, who organized these big community cookies, which are these, they're going to be making thousands and thousands of laula out of an imu that they've constructed at Iolani Palace. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to present that, and that's about Hawaiian indigenous agriculture and hoping to improve the food supply through traditional methods. It ends up being about water rights and so on, which is connected to general cultural and environmental protection, which means TMT. Those issues will all be raised, and I think that's what's going to make tomorrow a little bit more spirited.
Looking into your crystal ball, I know you have huge insight on this topic. Any shockers are we going to see, or is it just that planned out already?
There's always a shocker or two. I think that by presenting this package in advance, they're kind of setting themselves up to potentially fail, because now they've got the target set up at the beginning instead of murking around and then emerging at the end. But it sounds like, from what I'm hearing in the community, that they have been in contact with a lot of people. Even Common Cause knew this was happening, so they've been telling people and trying to avoid the kind of explosions at the end that they have. They did the same thing with same-sex marriage. They did the same thing with death with dignity. That is, let's get this out of the way, no surprises the rest of the way, because they do tend to leave a lot of stuff on the table at the end when they go their usual way. They just lose track of stuff, and then the next year they got to fix it. So I think by doing this, there's a better chance that they'll take care of the fundamentals. And this is a legislature that needs to project an image of competence and accomplishment. The governor certainly needs to show that. I think that if there's anything that blows up, it could be a TMT kind of thing. Do the legislators do something to change the law, to somehow make it easier for them to build it, or just the opposite, they do something that ends it. So I think that's the kind of big issue they're kind of avoiding right now. So those are the ones that can pop up at the end.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. You guys do a great job. It's
Thank you.
We'll have you back throughout the ledge too. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll be friends.
I haven't heard that yet.
Well, breaking news for you now. We're telling you now. All right. Moving on to other news. Toxic smoke from raging wildfires is wreaking havoc at the Australian Open, with some tennis players struggling to breathe in the smog. Here's Cindy Palm.
Smoke from wildfires is smothering the Australian city of Melbourne, and residents are urged to stay indoors.
You can smell the smoke of the fire.
But tennis players trying to qualify for the Australian Open are out in the elements. The toxic air brought Slovenian star Dalila Jakupovic to her knees. She was winning the match when she went into a coughing fit, gasping for breath, forcing her to quit. Tournament organizers temporarily suspended play earlier in the day.
The health and well-being of not only the players, the fans, our staff is of utmost importance.
Tennis pro Mandy Manella from Luxembourg criticized organizers, tweeting she was shocked to see matches had started, asking what about the health of all the people that have to work out there, especially the ball kids. Other players like Maria Sharapova also struggled in the haze and heat. Wildfires have been burning across eastern Australia for months, killing dozens of people and destroying more than 2,000 homes. Even though the blazes have eased over the past few days, Australia's Prime Minister is warning the country could face more devastation in the months to come. Cindy Palm, CBS News.
Those images just cannot. It's shocking and it's sad to see. Every time it's just the kangaroos and the koalas getting little burnt hands. I can't take it anymore. Just wishing the best there.
It's terrible.
There's respiratory problems as athletes are dealing with. I can't believe she just collapsed to the ground. All right, moving on. Developing news internationally. More royal saga.
Royal news. Prince William was seen outside his home in Kensington Palace in London today amid the ongoing media circus surrounding the British royal family. Now, Prince Harry, William's younger brother, and his wife Meghan last week indicated their desire to step back from most royal duties and become financially independent. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex plans have received tentative approval from Queen Elizabeth II, who said she and other senior royals regretted the decision but understood and respected it. The Queen, William, and Harry were among those who had a crisis summit yesterday afternoon.
And there we see Prince William driving off, and I think he's actually behind the wheel of that car. I didn't realize the prince drove around, but hey, he's got a license, I guess. I know the Queen likes to drive, and her husband does too. All right, let's move on. You 007 fan, James Bond. You are?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Of course. And Billie Eilish. So two things coming together.
Okay. All right, tell me more.
So singer Billie Eilish will sing the theme song for the upcoming James Bond film, No Time to Die, which comes out in April. According to Variety magazine, the 18-year-old wrote the song with her brother. Eilish is the youngest artist in history to write and record a James Bond theme song. In a statement, she says the Bond movies are, quote, the coolest film franchise ever to exist.
Hey, I don't
Good
know.
for her.
I like Jurassic Park, but a lot of people would disagree with me.
The coolest franchise ever, Jonathan? Jurassic Park?
If we're talking franchises, let's talk about food franchises. Olive Garden, seriously, this has been the most viral thing of the week. It really has. It's been blowing up everyone's socials.
It's because of Mai Tai's closing.
I agree.
End of an era.
Oh, I know.
I know.
I've seen some really sad comments. You know, we got some new details on that. Lacey Denise has some more.
We're learning new details on why two longtime tenants at Ala Moana Shopping Center are leaving as Hawaii's first Olive Garden restaurant moves in. Jim Dufault, the chief operations officer for Bubba Gump, told the Honolulu Star Advertiser that, quote, due to the landlord's ridiculous demand substantially raising our rent, Mai Tai Bar and Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. located at Ala Moana Center will cease operations February 23rd, 2020. If Ala Moana or the subsequent tenant steals any of Mai Tai intellectual property, Dufault says it will be met with, quote, substantial lawsuit. Ala Moana Shopping Center is owned and managed by Brookfield Properties, who did not respond to the Star Advertiser's requests for comment. There are no other Bubba Gump locations on Oahu, but employees of the restaurant are able to talk with managers about possible transfers to other Bubba Gump locations or to other restaurants owned by Bubba Gump's parent company, Landry Foods.
Or Mai Tai. Seriously, we're talking. I have some good memories there.
I have so many great memories of Mai Tais. And even if they did reopen somewhere else, it just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, your feet start to hurt after walking around Macy's for 4 hours. You gotta go to Mai Tais and have a margarita or a Mai Tai. Definitely.
Do you like Olive Garden?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Oh,
I'm
man,
not even
Jonathan.
gonna joke, but I wish I mean, I'm glad it's coming. I really am, but I'm really sad to see
a lot of
Mai
people
Tais
are really
leaving.
excited about it.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, a never-ending possible, and those breadsticks.
Oh, Americans.
Yeah. Well, making me feel good about myself. Thank you. Actually, let's take you outside to New York City to end the show today, just to show you this beautiful shot of the city skyline. And we're going to leave you with that today, guys. Look, other people are dealing with cloudy weather, too. Some rain out there. You guys have a good day. We'll be back here Wednesday.
See ya.